Hello, all. Welcome back to another episode of Coot Podcast Series. This is Shankar. I'm founder of Coot and going to be a host for today's episode. We discuss with the various GCC leaders and understanding the best practices, right, which is a torchbearer for the times, in India's economy. And today we have a special guest with us, Miss Eva James, a veteran in the GCC as well as in the tech space. I think worked with many companies, for more than 3 decades. So now currently she is managing data analytics for Renault Nissan. Welcome back, ma'am, to our podcast. Yeah, ma'am. To our audience, I think I made a very brief intro, but our audience would like to know about you and the kind of work you do, ma'am.
Hi, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here talking to Code Business. And my name is Eva James. I lead the technology organization at Renault Nissan Tech in India. I also have a global responsibility to manage the hubs outside of the corporate in Morocco and Romania as well. Uh, Renault Nissan Tech is a global capability center, GCC, catering to Renault and Nissan. And we've been around for 15 plus years. And we are a large team of uh, 12,000 engineers doing work which cuts across car engineering, technology, back office operations. And I lead the technology team here. And my team is about 3,000, close to about 3,500 engineers, offering a range of services all the way from building new software which supports the car making process to managing plants and some of the digital initiatives in the area of AI, data analytics, and emerging technologies adoption as well.
Oh, fantastic, ma'am. It's wonderful to hear someone is managing 3,000, no, giving 3,500 jobs, right? I think directly, indirectly, and empowering a lot of people, even, people from small towns, right? So, really fantastic to start with. Could you tell little more about what's a kind of, as you are managing such a large workforce, what could be your KRA and even what is your typical day looks like?
We are an extension of the corporate team, right? We
Right.
don't look at us as a separate organization. There are teams in Japan, there are teams in France, and there is a team in India, right? So
Okay.
we operate it's a very beautiful way we operate. We call it as a one team model. It's just
All
that
right.
we are physically separated by distances, and the objectives of the organization in terms of technology adoption is what we inherit as our objectives as well. We are here to make better cars. We are here to make Renault and Nissan successful. And so, from that perspective, uh, we have some very tall goals and aspirational goals, right? For example, one of the recent ones that we are very actively pursuing is a program where we want to traditionally challenge the time it takes to build a car, right? In a very conventional framework, it takes about a little over 3 years
Okay.
from the time a car is conceptualized on paper to the time it takes to hit the road, right?
Wow, 3 years.
That is the lead time.
Okay.
And now we are looking at with the adoption and intervention of the right technology, because the Chinese have mastered that art and are doing it in less than 2 years, right? So if
Okay.
you have to be competitive enough, we need to break that cycle of 3 years and bring it down to 2 years. So there is a huge program to do that. And that is something which is it is not something that is happening in one part of the world, right? So all of us in the organization are playing a big role in this program. And India is also leading many initiatives under this big umbrella program. So programs like this, for example, we are doing one of the largest finance modernization program in the world of auto industry, in the world of auto, and our entire finance and control systems are running on SAP. And this transformation program, once it's completely done, would be the first of its kind in the auto world, right? SAP is extremely proud to partner with us in doing this program. Again, majority of that work is done in here in India. So we are building the digital twins for the car programs. So if you take the typical OEM life cycle, right? A car life cycle. It starts with design and car engineering. It goes on to the digital mock-up phase, and then it goes into production planning, and then goes to the plant for actual manufacturing. The car has hundreds of parts, hundreds and thousands of parts. So the huge supplier network, the inbound, outbound logistics for parts, and then finally it has to go to the dealers, and then the customer experience comes into play. So if you look at the entire life cycle, uh, today technology is the big differentiator, right? However intelligent the car is, the way it is designed, developed, and the experience that we give it to the customer, the backbone for all of that is the right adoption of technology. And that is what my team is very proudly getting engaged in from India.
Oh, fantastic, man. Fantastic. So no, even I was listening to your other podcast as well as even Devash's interview, right? So there he beautifully narrated how earlier they supported the global team on making a car, then they made the car and sold it in India, then subsequently made a car and sold. Would like to hear from you, ma'am, like because as a GCC kind of success stories, what are the kind of success stories, ma'am?
So, as I said, we have been around for 15 years, and I will talk from the technology angle, right?
Sure.
When we started this organization, uh, the typical mindset of the team was there is someone in corporate who's deciding what needs to be done,
Okay.
and they give the work to India because labor in India is cheaper,
Got it.
and the work was getting done, right? So that was that is how most of the
Typical
GCCs
mentality.
started, right?
Yeah.
So whereas in the last 5 to 6, 7 years, right, there has been a big shift that moving away from a cost arbitrage center to a value creation center. And when I say that, the cost part of it is given, right? There is no fun in beating that over and over again, right? So, what is the value creation that we are talking about? So, uh, 10 years back, if you looked at the composition of my 3,000 team, and of course, at that time it was not 3,000, it was largely a developer community, right? We only had developers and testers, probably. But today, if you look at the composition of the team, and again, in the last few years, we adopted the full agile journey. So we have squads working on specific products. So if you look at the composition of the team, uh, we have, of course, we have developers and testers without a doubt, but we have a lot of business analysts. We have 100 plus business analysts who are very closely working with the business sitting in India, defining how should we envision a solution, what should be the features. In a typical squad, we have roles like product leaders. Product leader is responsible for the product in all fullest sense, right? Be it the roadmap of the product or the budget that is needed to run the product. How do regulations impact the solution? So all of these roles are being done out of India. We have architects who are defining the enterprise architecture. We have cloud architects. We have, I mean, so the point that I'm trying to say is from being a team which was taking instructions to do the work, now we are a fully autonomous teams, which means in many cases, many large strategic software development programs are defined and executed out of India. So that
Okay.
is the level of empowerment that the corporate has given us today to lead from the front, right? That's a big shift. That kind of a trust happens over a period of time, and with a very conscious intention to keep the India entity in the middle of the technology transformation programs, right? So, as I said, today, if you take the entire global workforce of technology, more than 50% of the global workforce is in India.
Got it.
So, that means that we are not only having numbers, but we are also having the roles which allow us to act very autonomously.
Oh, great, great, man. I think, in the other interview also you were mentioning the automobile is one of the industries which is completely getting disrupted. Either the engine itself going through the, electrification, and even the way the driving car, like it's more on software rather than, more hardware, right? So considering that, and that too, you have two headquarters, right? How does the discussion happens and how kind of work is getting allocated? I think could you throw some light, ma'am? I think you already touched it in the previous answers, but like to go a little deeper onto it, like how does it happen?
So, as I said, we are an integral part of the team, right? So, right from the time in the early stages where budgets are discussed, we are very actively involved, and we have our COEs in India. So, our potential, our capabilities, our workload are not just restricted by what RNTBCA can bring to the table, right? We have a huge ecosystem of suppliers in India.
Right.
We work with a lot of local suppliers. We work with a lot of startups,
Mm.
which means when we talk India, our corporates know that we are supported by a big Indian ecosystem, right?
Okay.
And so that is where the strength is, and that is how when the early stages of the year, when the budgets are discussed, uh, as I said, we are mature in a few areas. We are growing in a few areas. There are a few areas where we have still not touched. So taking into all this into consideration, uh, it's a combined decision, right? What gets done where? As I said, I'm also responsible for hubs in Romania and Morocco as well. So these are decisions that are jointly done. What goes where?
Oh, fantastic, man. Sure, sure. I think you already preempted about the startup. So T-Hub is a well-known program in the, in the startup world, right? So could you tell some interesting work done, by you, I think, along with some startups, man?
I won't be able to give you specifics due to
Sure,
various reasons,
sure.
but we have done a lot of work in terms of battery research
Okay,
uh, with large academic institutions like IIT Madras and other areas. We are
okay,
also working with many Indian startups on data and AI technologies, right? So we are running a big program where I said where we want to reduce the timeline of a car manufacturing process, and one of the big interventions is deployment of AI technologies at various phases of the car manufacturing process. And this is where some of the startups are working alongside with us, coming up with some great ideas, experimenting them, coming up with some working prototypes, and bringing them to the table. And as I said, while these guys are in India, we make sure that when we go to the corporate, we all have the one face mask, right? So they are part of RNTBCI, and we go together. And in some cases, even the corporate teams work alongside with us very closely on these initiatives.
super, man, super. Maybe a little bit tactical question here, right? Many startups they want to reach out to Renault, right? So is the T Hub would be the kind of gateway for them to reach out to the Renault, or because it's a huge organization, thousands of people, normally startups get lost, with their designations, right?
So that
Uh,
is the reason why we are only going through T-Hub at this point of time, because if the lines of communication go all over the place, it's very difficult for us to manage. So at this point of time, the point of entry for us to work with these startups is through T-Hub only.
got it, man. Got it. Got it.
We have a
Sure.
lot of, in addition to that, we also believe that in India, the academic institutions are a big knowledge warehouse, right? Students have so much of untapped potential. So we have a lot of MOUs with large universities, SRM, IIT Madras, Amrita University in Coimbatore, where and not just in southern part of the country, even in Pune and in other regions, where we believe that working with these students, seeding ideas with them, and allowing them to toy around with it has also reaped good benefits for us. And we have also gone a step further, where we understand what the auto industry needs. So we have helped them curate some of their courses, which will help students become industry ready when they pass out, especially in mechanical production engineering areas.
Oh, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Sure. So moving on to the other aspect, right? Um, One of the aspects which we like to see is like many of the GCC leaders, right? With respect to the workforce, I think predominant of workforce is primarily you want to build your in-house workforce, but you also take the help of the external service providers, right? How does no? I think it's not restricted only for I'm saying Renault or Nissan, but I'm saying as a GCC leader, how do you look at the whole ecosystem, man?
I think the only way to grow India is to tap on each other's potential, right? There is no way any GCC can say, I can become successful just by myself, right? I will give you some examples. When we started the virtual twin, the digital twin program few years back, we call it the Renault Virtual Twin Program, RVT. Uh, we needed expertise in areas like Team Center and 3D experience, and these are very specialized software. And at that point of time, the only way we could expedite is to have some local partnerships in India with some large corporates. And uh, and uh, at least in R&T BCI, we don't believe in second level of outsourcing. So it's not the work goes outside, but we take expertise from them. We bring them in as consultants and have them work alongside with us. Similarly, in the finance transformation program that I did, we did a huge SAP modernization program. So we needed S4 HANA skills, very scarce in the market. And even if you train them, we need a lot of seed resources who can lead from the front. Again, a very renowned Indian IT player came in as our partner. And today we are very successfully working with them. And our success, I would attribute it to their contributions in a big, very, very big way. Right. And I think it's not just us, every other GCC player in the country has to tap on the Indian ecosystem, right? And either it, for example, very recently, because we work with corporates in Renault and Nissan, and we work with very sensitive data, right? The car data is extremely
Right.
sensitive. The designs, the customer data. And we work with all of that in India. So data protection, privacy management is of paramount importance. And we wanted to define a framework for PIMS, Privacy Information Management Systems, and we wanted to go for a certification. And we realized that we could not do it ourselves, right? So we worked with one of the big fours who came in and who helped us draw the roadmap and who led us and handheld us all the way through the certification program. So today, we are very proudly certified as ISO 27701, and that could not have happened without this partner in the game, right? So in each one of these journeys, our success is also in finding the right partner.
Oh, fantastic. Great to hear. Great to hear. So in many circumstances, how do you decide between an in-house versus outsource, or even how to use some other tool or products to get the job done? Because as a leader, your ultimate goal is to get the job done, right? I think whether it is happening through your team, obviously that will be your first choice. But sometimes you will outsource, sometimes. So how do you really allocate, or how do you decide, ma'am?
See, one of the things as an organization, Renault has decided is very limited outsourcing, right? While we take consultants, the work is largely done in-house. The decision comes around make or buy, right? Do we build a solution or we buy off-the-shelf products? Right? There's a lot of due diligence that we do jointly along with the corporate, where our expertise and our knowledge is also used extensively. Because, as I said, we are not seeing India team as a separate team. We see ourselves as one large team. So,
Got it.
for example, uh, there was a necessity at some point of time uh, to build a solution when pricing management. I'll give you an example, right? How do
Right.
you price a car, right? You need to look at competitive data. You need to look at the cost of car, and what should be the ideal profit margin. So there are a lot of industry products which offer these kind of solutions, right? So when we had to do this, a lot of investment was done in terms of studying the market. What are all the products that are there? What are the benefits of doing it in-house? And we finally decided that we'll build a solution. I'll give you another good example is RPA solutions, right? Robotic process
Mhm.
automation solutions. While
Mhm.
industry has got solutions like UiPath, very, very
Right.
proven RPA solutions. When
Right.
we went big bang on RPA implementation in Renault and Nissan, we studied industry solutions because our technology stack is so diverse. We have PLM solutions, we have SAP solutions, we have a lot running on mainframe. And we realized that the industry products were not nimble and flexible enough to connect all these dots. And we did an homegrown RPA solution, which was
Okay.
completely built out of India, right? And
Mhm.
today there are in excess of 1,000 bots that are running on this homegrown RPA solution. So every time when there is a necessity, there is an extensive study that happens, and then based on the outcome, we make a choice.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Looks like a clearly a laid out plan, right, for the different situations, right? Another challenge which majority of the GCCs which they face, I think obviously it's a one team, right? I don't want to call Renault Nissan as a GCC, but still the lack of customer empathy, right? Because many times the people are not really connected to the people the way they use, right? I think Renault still there are a lot of cars, going in India, but still the majority of the users might be outside. So how do you get the empathy, right? How do you train your team so that they are pretty close to the customer so that they make a right decision, ma'am?
See, I think it happened very naturally for us, and I'll tell you why. Today, as I said, in a traditional software development model, where you have layers of people, the information cascades, and by the time it reaches the person on the ground, you don't know what comes, right? Whereas in the full agile model where we are currently working, every team is a very empowered team, right? The product team, which has got a product leader and business analyst, developers, testers, and all of them. And here, some players are from India and some players are from France, and they could be even be a player from Romania, right? So it is never a situation where the India team doesn't know what's happening in France. So day in, day out, the conversation does not necessarily flow through the manager to the senior manager and down to a person on the floor, right? These teams have opportunities to interact on day-to-day matters. So which means uh, in an agile world, we every day, every one of us have a 15 to 20 minute startup in the morning, stand up in the morning, where teams from across the world in smaller units come together. Okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we need to do. So it is, even though we are physically distanced, we never feel far away from the corporate teams with whom we work, right? And as I said, that is a very big empowering moment for us, that people across all the levels are able to come together and discuss and freely open topics about anything and everything. The other thing is, we do have a lot of our corporate players who come and spend time with us in India. Likewise, many of my team members frequently travel and go and network, connect with people. And I think both these elements have helped us eliminate that wall that people perceive that exists between the corporate and the Indian GCCs.
Okay,
But
fantastic.
when I said that the organization design enables us to operate as one team as well.
Got it, ma'am. Got it. Got it. Probably I will go back to the earlier question, right? If a startup wants to come and pitch to you, right? I think whether through T-Hub or other thing, what are the basic qualities you will expect from them so that they fulfill the criteria for a large MNC, right? So that they are aware of it. Okay, no, I'm pitching to the large MNC, and they tick all the boxes relevant for it.
See, I think one of the thing is being a little open-minded to listen, and it's not that I have a solution and I come to you with it and you take it, right? In all the situations, we are looking at people who can collaborate together and build solutions, right? Even if they have an off-the-shelf solution, in most of the cases, it has to be customized, tailored to our needs, right? And that is a fundamental premise, right? They should be having that willingness to co-create solutions. And of course, there are a lot of IP and all of that legal thing. I'm not going there. But at the outset, we are looking at someone who has got a proven track record or a proven expertise in a certain area that they will be able to demonstrate and work alongside with us to co-create. So that is the basic. In fact, we had a very interesting, uh, I think it was last year or early last year. We had about 15 to 20 of these startups who came together, and we had given them a dozen challenges or problem statements that we had, and
Okay.
they came and pitched based on their, see, some of them come with a strong data background, some of them come with security expertise, some of them come with core car engineering process background. So each of them picked certain things and they came up with a demonstrable an MVP, a most something which you can showcase at the end of 2 weeks. And we actually had it like I won't call it as a hackathon, but an event where we allowed them to compete against each other, and also brought in some healthy competition, and brought in some of our corporate players to analyze their outcomes and choose one or two of them to work with us very closely. So it was a very interesting but very intense activity for them and for us as well.
Sure, sure, definitely. So no, you're a strong advocate of women empowerment, right? Leading a strong 3,500 member team, right? Could you tell a little more about what kind of initiatives with Renault Nissan is doing with respect to women or in the rural students? Which are the things you're doing it, ma'am?
We are very aware that there is a big gap when it
Okay,
comes to, let's first talk about the gender part of it, right?
sure,
Diversity encompasses many things, and gender is just one of them, right?
sure,
uh, and uh, but I won't say that's the easiest, but that is the most visible one, right? And
right.
and we were very conscious about our need to bridge that particular gap. So we did a lot of things last year, right? We had a very formal program for DE&I called RED, which was Respect, Equity, and Dignity, right? And under this umbrella of this program, we were very conscious that we need to, when we started this program at the top of the house at RNTBCI, we were just about 19-20% women in the organization. Of course, on the technology side, in my team, we are close to about 35-36. But if you took the entire RNTBCI team, we were about hovering around 20. So there was a very conscious decision that our hiring has to be focused. Every job description, every JD that is floated, we need to have equal number of men and women profiles that come to a hiring manager, so that without uh, and even to step back, right? When you write a JD, how do you write a gender neutral JD,
Okay,
right? So we educated managers. How do you write job descriptions which will invite both genders,
okay,
right? And we ran a lot of gender sensitizations programs. We gave objectives to every team that irrespective of the size of the team, certain percentage have to have women on the team. So very with all the conscious efforts, the needle moved from 20 to close to 29% in 1 year, right? And this is just bringing in people. That's the easier part, right?
okay,
How do we handle women once they are on the team, right? How do you sensitize managers to have a very fair way of dealing with men and women in the organization through a lot of focused gender sensitization programs? The other thing is, it's very easy to have women coming into the teams at the lower level of the pyramids, right? And then they stop, then their leaks start happening. So we today we run a lot of intervention programs at different levels to help women having a lot of intention to stay in spite of the challenges that they might have and grow in the career, be through mentorship programs, through focused women in leadership programs. And in fact, in technology, we run a program called Women in Leadership, Women in Tech. We call it WIT. And through that, in fact, one of the very beautiful things that just recently concluded was we have a partnership with Google, and we
okay,
focused on women pursuing technical career paths. And we had about 25 of them undergo very specific Google Cloud training programs, and all of them came out with successful colors being certified. So, through multiple interventions, we are doing this, and it's been a great intervention for us.
very, very nice to hear, ma'am. Nice. Any initiatives on the rural, because even I come from a very rural background, right? So
See, the today when you talk of rural, the only two things we're doing. I mean, I don't want to say things which we're not doing. Is when we have a very healthy campus program,
okay,
right? Campus recruitment, and for the campus recruitment, we are not drawing any boundaries that we will go hire only from Chennai. I have satellite offices in Bangalore and Hyderabad. Whereas when we go to the campus, we go all around Tamil Nadu, right? All the way down south to Tirunelveli, Nagarkoil, Salem, all around the cities. I mean, all around the state. Of course, we look at their ranking in the Anna University, and we pick up colleges based on that. But that is the one thing that we are doing, that where we are able to go back and hire a lot of talent from outside of Chennai. And that's worked well for us. Many of these students who have come from these colleges have fared extremely well for us.
Okay, okay, fantastic. So looking into the future, right? I think you see the for the last 15 years how R&D has evolved, and looking into the future, right? How do you see in the next 5 years? What kind of roles are going to emerge? If I'm a student studying engineering, sometimes people get saying that the low-level jobs are vanishing because the AI coding is completely making redundant for the people. So how can I get empowered, or what can I do to get into Renault? If not Renault, I'm saying
Uh,
overall in MNC, ma'am. I think what can I do so that I'm relevant for the job market?
I think today the technology landscape has very changed very much, right? Yes, we are still going to need Java developers. We are also going to need .NET developers. Those won't go away completely. But who will stand a better chance are people who understand and are able to take some of these new age AI tools as their companions. Today, if you take, we are heavily advocating the usage of GitHub copilots,
Okay,
right? We are saying Copilot can bring in a lot of productivity, but do developers appreciate that? Just because we have a Copilot doesn't mean developers are going to become redundant. But then developers, by using Copilot, can become a lot more productive, right? Which means they will be able to do a lot more.
sure.
So I think the need of the hour is for people to look beyond the very obvious things and look at some of these AI tools and become a little more savvy with these things. And this is one aspect of it. The other
Sure.
aspect of it is the industry is completely moving towards techno-functional roles, right? Very
Okay.
early in the day, I think people should uh, understand at least, for example, if anyone who comes to work with Renault, right? I said, if you
Okay.
worked with Renault for 3 years and at the end, you need to know the car business inside out, right? And you need to become a person who understands how an assembly line works. And that would be, then you become very valuable, right? Whichever industry you associate yourself with, invest time to understand the business, understand the data that is driving that business. Because as they say, data is the new oil, right? So every one of them, it cannot be someone else's job, because everyone needs to understand what are the critical elements in this particular business, what is the market here. I think that would help position. And somewhere, I think today, the current generation of students who are passing out are not fully there. So every time I go to the campus, I talk about it and I tell them, understand the business that you're going to be associating yourselves with. Make an effort.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. No, I actually preempted my next question, right? Once I joined, I will equip myself into the automobile industry, right? But you are also recruiting regularly from the universities and colleges directly. So what do you expect them to know as a fresher? Because even I don't know whether I will get placed in a BFSA or an automobile or retail.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We fully understand that. And we are not expecting when we hire a BSc computer science student to know our industry. Absolutely no. But there are some basic skills, right?
sure.
Uh, One of the skills that we expect is strong analytical and problem solving skills,
Okay.
right? It is not enough if you know the Java or Python syntax, which everyone is mastering today, right? One of
Right.
the biggest skills that people are lacking when they pass out of college is problem solving and analytic skills. And in fact, very recently, we have even changed the format of our campus recruitments. We're saying we are going to assess you only for these skills. Because whether you're going to be a Java developer or we're going to put you in an SAP environment or you're going to be in a Google environment, all of that is unknown to us. Even we don't know where you're going to be deployed,
True.
because you're going to come and join us after 8 months from the time we recruit. Whereas if you are a strong analytical and a problem solver, it's very easy for us to teach you Java, or it's very easy to teach you ABAP, right? So I think it's very important children, students pick up, invest time in cracking problems, cracking solutions, understanding algorithms. It's such a pity that sometimes when we go for campus programs and we ask them to write a small algorithm for a Fibonacci series,
Right.
just a flowchart. And when they struggle, my heart goes out to them, right? I feel very sorry for students who struggle with basics. So my emphasis at that level is sharpen your problem solving skills, and that will happen if you're very consciously doing it over and over again. And that's a very, very important skill, not just for the auto industry, for you to come out of the campus. Of course, there are a lot of others. Improve your communication skills, because when people talk to you, they assess you in 15-20 minutes, right?
True.
So communication skills and problem solving skills are absolutely important. And and a passion to understand and learn about some of the newer technologies, right? It's not that once they come out of college that sitting down and teaching and feeding with a spoon is all over, right? So you need to have a passion for understanding what's moving the industry, what are all some of the newer technologies. This is all if you've decided to pursue computer science, you should have a passion to know what's moving in this place.
Got it, man. Got it. Very well said, right? So coming to the GCC leaders, right? I think budding GCC leaders, I say probably I want to, someone wants to become like you, right? And especially in managing the HQ, right? I think the GCC is now evolving a lot, right? From the order takers now, there's a lot of empowerment is there, autonomy is there. So how do I deal with my HQ, right? Any you have any guidelines of dealing with that, man? Who wants to become a GCC leader and either become GCC head or doing certain vertical? What are the guidelines in leading their vertical?
Okay, this is my personal belief that I don't work for making RNTPCA tech in India successful, right?
Yeah.
My objective is to make Group Renault and Nissan successful. I think if you have that straight, a lot of things will fall in place, right? The intent is not to make India successful. Yes, we are in India, but if you're completely aligned with the corporate goals and objectives, right? This is what Renault wants to do. This is what Nissan wants to do. And we are in that league to
Journey.
support them become successful. I think that is the first thing. If you have a parallel objective to do something in India, which is not completely aligned, I think we can only go uh, to a certain distance, right? Only if your objectives are completely aligned with the corporate directions will that happen. The other thing is I ensure this not just for me, but in my 3,500 member team, I have a lot of very senior leaders that every one of them have the right seat in the various steering committees in the organization. Everyone's voice is heard at the right place. And not just we hear them, they also are able to hear us, right? So the right positioning for all my leaders happens at the right time. And as I said, there is a continuous conversation and continuous feedback, right? So I know what is the need the next 2 to 3 years, which means I am able to align my talent strategy. I am able to invest in talent development programs which will meet the needs of the corporate stakeholders. So I think having a strong vision of what they want to do in the next 2 3 years, I won't even say they, what we want to do in the next 2 3 years, is
Okay.
very important for any GCC to be successful.
Got it, ma'am. No, a different perspective, right? How I like says, when I was talking to a few other leaders, they say the line managers in their respective business, right? They don't envision as much from the AI or the transformation which a GC leader here encompasses, right? Maybe certain, GCC or certain companies are fortunate that because the alignment is better. So how do they really go about it and creating that alignment when the other person is really not able to understand? He says, hey, who are you to teach me, guide me? I know it better, right? I think, uh,
I think we have also gone through all of that stuff. I won't say the
right.
way we are currently operating is how we were doing it 15 years back. Absolutely no. I think everyone goes through that curve where uh, it's normally seen, okay, in India, we have you do what we tell you to do. I think everyone starts there, right? But
Okay.
from there, I think it's a journey and you where you never give up. And
Right.
the tables change when you are able to table innovative ideas where you are able to challenge status quo. For example, the RPA solution that I talked about, no one asked us to build it. right?
Mhm.
By the side of the table, people built it, and when it was showcased, there was a far greater appreciation than what we actually envisaged, right? So I think your contributions and your value additions will change the orientation. And of course, there's a lot of very senior leader sponsorship that is required, empowering Indian leaders to operate with a level of autonomy that will make them truly a successful team. And we have that sponsorship, right? We have the right sponsorship from very senior leaders in our corporates to leverage India in the right way.
Great, ma'am. Great. I think we have, fantastic talking to you. We have more questions, but I'm also cognizant of the time. You have, you've given your precious time from your, busy schedule. So thanks a lot for your time, ma'am. On behalf of our audience, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and best wishes to all of us. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, ma'am. Thanks.